Uh, oh no, what do I have to do? I have to go to Ottawa. Oh, it's such a long drive. What am I going to do then? Well, I might as well listen to Serenity Winz. It's a great podcast. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to another edition of Serenity Winz. Serenity Winz. I'm sorry, I got to say that with a straight face. I want to say hello to all my YouTube listeners, especially. I'm also doing a live podcast on TikTok. This is how I go about recording my podcast for YouTube. So hello to everybody. Hello to AA. Hello to Crystal, Gamble, Ahmad, Hassani. I want to give a really special shout out to two people that I know are definitely listening to the podcast on YouTube. I want to say hello to Aurelie, and of course, I want to say to Odie Lee. You guys are really pumping me up with your comments, so I really appreciate it. And of course, you people also on YouTube are doing a great job too, and of course on TikTok also. So I last week I came up with the kind of idea of doing a hand gesture, intro, and I said, oh, wouldn't it be fun if I had like a little intro. And then I remember I love this car. I don't know why, but I found this car at one point. I can't remember where I found it, but I picked it up and I went, man, I love this car. So I thought it was really cool. And it usually sits in my bathroom. And so tonight I took it out and I said, okay, I'm going to use it as the intro. So that's a lot of blah, blah, blah for nothing. Let's get right into it. So first of all, I'm getting used to doing these podcasts more and more. I think you can feel that I'm at ease. So I want to get right to it right away and say I am in no way associated, affiliated, or sponsored by any official organization, such as, for instance, Alcoholics Anonymous. Nothing to do with them. They do not sponsor me. They do not affiliate themselves. This is just a little podcast created by moi. I just saw how great the program, the 12 Steps program was, and how much it's rehabilitated so many people, including myself. And I said, you know what? I want to give back. And I know that I got a tan gross girl, it's about beaucoup, blah, 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 blah. So I said, you know what? I'll use that and maybe do a podcast and hey, who knows? Maybe someone will get something out of it. Maybe, I know the comments I've gotten so far, some people say, you know what? I'm actually thinking perhaps, maybe there might be something in what you're saying. So that's always very cool. So right, without further ado, that's like a term. I started using these little applications, to make you smarter. And I don't know if they're making me smarter because I was a pretty intelligent kind of guy to begin with. Hey, Melissa's in the house, right on, because I was a pretty, intelligent guy. But so it's been a week, and my goal was to stop scrolling on that FB word. You know which word I'm talking about, the little blue, with the little F icon, because it's such a waste of time. And people say, yeah, but, if they're on YouTube and they're listening to you, well, first of all, if they're on YouTube, it's already not a social media as such. I mean, it's media, but it's not social media. And number two, if they're listening to me, that means there's an intention there that they're actually doing something else while they're listening to me. So, hey, that's great. Hey, welcome, Viper 48. Viper 48. Sounds like a superhero or something. Here comes Viper 48. I am Viper 48. I don't know. I'm just like really pumped. So yeah, listening to the podcast while you're doing something else. You could be in the garden, you got the headphones on and you're gardening, or you're in the kitchen, or wherever you want to be. It doesn't matter. You could be in the car, right? Oh no, I gotta go to Ottawa. So you could pretty much listen to the podcast wherever you want. So now that we know how to use a podcast properly, especially Serenity Winz. Speaking of Serenity Winz, I have to share. I think I'm landing the official spelling. I'm not fully sure where entirely I can use it, but I think it's going to be Serenity Winz, and the Winz with a Z. So we kind of on se démarque. We démarque ourselves. It's like it's not Winz. It's not like a Winz with an S. It's a Winz with a Z. It's got style. It's got Z. It's got Z. This is what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with Serenity Winz. So if you're on TikTok and you want to see the full podcast, because of course you're on TikTok now and you're gonna probably spend 5 seconds or 5 minutes and then go somewhere else. But if you want to listen to the entire podcast, you go to Serenity Winz with a Z. So let's talk about today's subjects, because I got quite a few subjects to talk about. Right, I got quite a few subjects to talk about today, and I have to know where to look. Yes, that's right, because I know that I didn't start recording right away, and last time I was like, oh no, I still have so many seconds left, right? So now I got to know that, okay, hold on a second, and okay, I could just gloss over it and it shows me. All right, so today's subjects, some of them, again, because we didn't get a chance to finish on last week, we're going to continue on and start with, and some others I just really, thought of it throughout my daily activities, and things pop up and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I remember I got to give a quote of the day and I forgot the book. So you see, sometimes things don't happen exactly as you want. All right, so point number one, should I be telling all of the points? Because I'm thinking, if this goes on Facebook, do people need to know? Do people don't need to know? All right, you know what? For people to need to know, we're going to go. So first of all, we're going to talk about point number one. We're going to do doing the actions instead of being the noun. That's it's subtle, but it makes a difference. Number two, the power of gratitude. Yeah, we talk a lot about gratitude in the 12 Steps program. It's not really used, the word, but we talk a lot about it because it's implied. And if you're doing a 12 Steps program, you have no other choice but to be filled with gratitude. So there you go. Oh, by the way, if you want to leave some comments on TikTok, go right ahead. I know I'm just like, blah, 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 but truthfully, I'm also there for you. All right. I'm there for you. I am there for you. Melly, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? All right. Okay, enough shenanigans. Number three, we're going to talk about step number 6 in the 12-step program. So stick around. That's a really good one too. 4, we're going to talk about it takes time. It takes time. Yep. That power pause, that's to make that punctuation on it takes time. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is, hey, stick around, and when we get to that point, I'll talk about that. All right, here we go. So number 6, how can I reduce my ego? Oh, tabana. Hola, Lola. Hola. Hola. Allô, Lola. C'est pas facile de faire ça. It's not, it is, oh, yeah. Yeah, reducing the ego. We talk quite a bit about our ego throughout the movement when we're doing discussion groups and whatnot, because our ego seems to like push us in directions that aren't always the best, right? Sometimes we find ourselves like, oh, that's not where I wanted to go. Oh no, that's not where I wanted to go, and that's not where I want that to be. Okay, can I move that live? Does it show? Is it gonna show? I don't know. We're gonna find out. Am I still recording? Yeah, we're still recording. Okay. That was a close one. Yeah, it was. All right. For those of you listening to the YouTube, I just moved some graphics during my podcast on TikTok, and I was wondering if that affected any of the camera movements of whatnot. So here we go. Here we go. Where are you talking about? You were talking about time. That's right. That's right. I kind of lost my train of thought there. It takes time. No, we were already there. We already did. It takes time. You're at the ego part. Oh yeah. Okay. It's funny because today, as I'm doing this new game on my phone, it's not gaming. It's like brain smart games, whatever you want to call them. It's called Elevate. Shout out to Elevate. They talk about, would you want to improve your memory? And I'm like, no, I got a pretty good memory. Clearly, my memory needs to be improved. Okay. Number 7. And this one I came up with like towards the end of the week. And I don't know if it's related to me or if others feel like that. But I want to get some feedback on that. So if you want to give some comments there live on TikTok, go for it. I'd love that. So, are you a disturber? Yeah. Oh, thanks. Thanks for following. No, your follower Spenny joined. Okay, all right. So he's already following me. Well, thanks for following me. That's totally awesome. So, are you a disturber? Do you disturb folks in their? I wrote draconian ways of thinking, but I guess I want to say more like in their lockdown ways of thinking. Do you do that? Do you disturb that? Because I know often. I shouldn't say often, but sometimes I do that. I like disturb people. They're like, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you mean, but it doesn't make me feel good. Not that not that it's insulting me. It's making me think right now, and I don't like that. So that's number 7. And then we have the quote of the day. And then when I flip the book over, I have nothing because clearly that was it. All right, so those are the 7 points we have today to talk about. Because I'm missing one. I thought I had 8. Yeah. Nope. I got 7 points to talk about. All right. So let's do a little intro to the first. Oh no, the podcast. I almost missed it, but thank God I have it in my car on my YouTube. Ho, ho, ho. All righty, there's a pretty lame. Eventually, I'm getting a producer, and we're going to have really cool graphics. But for now, you have to settle for my hands moving a little, plastic. It's actually kind of metal cast. Like a little. It's a cool car too. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's a Mustang. I mean, come on. It rocks. Oh, this would have been a better angle for the intro. Oh no, I have to. Should I do that now? Okay. No. You know what? I'll keep that for the next one. Yeah. All right, so let's get right into it. For the several people that are watching me right now live on TikTok, and for those of you who will be listening to me on YouTube, do the action instead of the noun. This is something I heard a while ago, and it resonated with me a lot. Like a lot. And I think the reason it resonated with me is because I finally understood what it meant. And when I was living in the city, I should say, I had a production company, and I produced short videos, and I had also a small photography studio. And I remember every time people would ask me, "What do you do?" I'd be like, "I'm a producer," or I'd be like, "I'm a photographer," or I'm like, "I'm a director." And what I came to understand was it was all about my ego. It really was. So every time someone would ask me, and I would say, I would give the noun. I'm a writer. I'm a this. I'm a that. Part of me felt like I was like, wow, that feels really good to say that. I sound really cool right now. I'm a producer, And years now looking behind, and especially after I heard that term, do the action instead of the noun, I understood that, or I should say more in the present, I understand now that I spent more time talking about what I did than actually doing it, because my ego, which I know we're going to talk about that a bit later on, but my ego, Canadian guy just joined in. Welcome, Canadian guy. Welcome to the live recording. Yes, howdy. Howdy indeed. How are you doing, sir? Thanks for liking the live, man. Every heart counts. Every heart counts. Every heart counts. Yeah. Are you doing good? Did you have a good week? I'm serene, right? This is Serenity Winz, but this is a term that I also use like daily. Like how people ask me, especially, when you go to a meeting and how you doing? And I say, look, I'm serene, like a bird. Tweet, 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 tweet. Actually, this morning, when I went to the meeting, the doors were all open in the hall because it was hot. And we're fortunate enough, we're like in the mountains, so we could hear the birds chirping outside as we're listening to the person sharing in front. And it was almost magical. I say almost, but perhaps it was. And so yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm serene. Thanks for joining to the podcast too. I mean, it's always good. So I was just talking before you came in about the doing the actions instead of saying the noun. So I was giving an example when I used to live in a city. Which city do you want to know? Yeah, I guess I could tell you. Well, when it's like two Goombas talking to you, yeah, I want to know which city. Okay, I'll tell you. So they're almost like twin brothers because they have the same accent. So clearly I have to change one and then the other. Yeah. Okay. I'm not very good with accents every now and then. So I was raised in the city of Montreal in the province of Quebec, Canada, for those of you who may want to know. And I lived there for a big part of my life until about 10 years ago, where I had enough of the big city and I left it. And along with leaving the city, I left also a lot of what I did. And now it's slowly creeping back in because I guess I'm really enjoying doing the action versus the noun. So when I was in the city, Canadian guy, CG, I had a photography studio. I also had a small production company. So I produced short videos, little small commercials. I'd have like women come in and I do like erotic photography and whatnot. And every time people would ask me, what I did in life, excuse me, I'd have like this huge grin on my face, just being proud of saying what I did. But there's also part of that ego inside of me saying, yeah, man, you sound really cool. Oh, yeah, keep saying that. Photography. Ooh, yeah. Studio. Well, those were like the buzzwords. You'd go to a coffee shop and then you'd be like on your laptop and typing and then kind of talking a little louder so people get to hear your conversations. Typical stuff, because I'm sure a lot of people still do that, right? Maybe now they do it even more. I don't know. And what I realized with time was that the idea of doing it and saying that I did that kind of made me feel like I was actually doing it. But then more and more time would go by and I would be doing less about it. Yet I'd still be describing myself exactly the same. I'd be like, I'm a writer. I write. I wrote several scripts, not telling people what they were, but it doesn't matter. I write, and I think it's another reason why I do enjoy making the podcast, because I get to write right on the spot, like bam, like I'm writing right on the spot. And finally, fast forward like many years later, I'm watching someone say something. That's very vague. I'm a vague kind of guy. I don't want to give any injustices anymore in terms of not properly saying people's names or the establishments that I go to. I actually, just a sidebar, I went to several establishments, and when I do my podcast, I'd kind of be vague about, I went to this place, and finally I met the owners, and I asked them, is it all right if I talk about, you guys might, and they said, yeah, sure, go for it. And I realized, I guess all publicity is good publicity, right? So from now on, that means starting on the solstice, on the longest day of the year, June 21st, I'm going to start remembering people's names properly, because I also have the Elevate application now that I'm using. Shout out to Elevate. And I'm also going to feel free to be proud of mentioning the establishments that I go to and I frequent. And I still will refrain myself from mentioning when I have bad service, because it does happen. And who am I to say that I had bad service? Maybe it was just one of those things that happened and it was completely out of their control. And so why should I even mention that happened? But when I have great service, you will know, you will find out. And of course, I will try to start typing that into the links into my quick descriptions on YouTube and perhaps even on Facebook. And I'm still working Instagram. Instagram is slow. I try to load stuff on my Instagram. Melissa's in the house. Hey, you know what, Melissa? I recognize you now. But before there was another Melissa, and I thought it was you, and I thought you had changed. But now I realize, oh no, now it's you. You're Melissa. You're the Melissa. How are you doing, darling? She's typing. I can only imagine she's typing. For those of you listening on YouTube. All right, maybe she's not even typing. Maybe she's just like, I don't care. Well, don't ask me any questions. You haven't spoken to me in like, oh, yay, hello, you. See, she responded, hello, you. And she's got like 3 exclamation points. Hello, you. Hello, darling. Are you having a good week? Calm down. She just wrote, calm down. No, it's very difficult for me to calm down when I do the podcast. I'm really enthusiastic about doing this podcast. I don't know what it is. Is it the fact that I get to hear my voice? Is it the fact that I'm in front of a microphone? I took out the softbox for those of you who were wondering last week what I was going to do because I had this. It's a good light, by the way. It's not a rinky-dink light. It's a good light, but I constantly got to put batteries. And as I mentioned, I had a production company. All his work. Yay. And so I had a production company. So I did, although I walked away from a lot of that stuff, I did bring back some of the equipment, including some of my lighting gear and the softbox, which I have out now. So I guess I'll be less reddish than the last episode. Man, last episode, for those of you who watched on YouTube, you saw how my face was turning more and more and more pink by the minute, especially towards the end. So this should be taken care of now. All right. So here I go talking again. And I drifted again away from the point of doing the action. Why do the action? Because when you do the action, you're way less into that ego factor. You're not talking about something that makes you feel good just because you say you do that. You're actually doing it. And the number one example, drum roll, please. Oh, I need drumsticks. I'm going to get, and I have drumsticks. I don't know where they are. You know what? I'm going to get my drumsticks. Oh, I could get a snare. I could be like a really low budget production. I can have like a snare and then go, brrr. Not that I'm that good at drumming, but I really enjoy drumming though. Brrr. Okay. So the podcast that I'm doing right now, right? I mean, I'm doing this podcast because I love doing it. So I'm doing it. Je le fais. For those of you who speak the French, je le fais. Je fais le podcast maintenant, là. And I'm having a great time doing it. And I guess people are having a great time because I get like all kinds of funny icons, especially from Melissa. Oh, hey, welcome, Isabelle Poitras. Oh, that's like another French name. Oh, yeah. We always like French names because that means that there's some Quebecers that are still here watching me. That's always good. We like that because I know that I'm in Quebec and there's a lot of francophones. I'm much more at ease speaking in English. And par contre, Isabelle, si tu veux me parler en français, tu es la bienvenue. Je suis capable de parler aussi bien en français qu'en anglais. C'est juste que je me sens plus à l'aise de communiquer en anglais quand ça vient de faire un podcast. Hein? C'est comme ça. C'est comme ça. Des fois, il y a du monde ici, ils parlent comme ça, puis ils sont mieux comme ça. Moi, je sais pas. Il y a des mots que je manque en français. Puis c'est comme ça. T'sais. But in English, I don't know. It's like that too. You know, I just, it doesn't matter what kind of English I use. I just. Okay, that's kind of funny. So doing the action. So that can relate to anything. You know, don't say you're a gardener. Go outside and garden. Don't say you're a singer. Go inside and sing. Whatever it is. But do the action. Concentrate more on the fact that you're doing the action versus mentioning the noun. If you want to write, write. Don't say you're a writer just because you're writing once in a while. Write. No one really cares. To tell the truth, I think, and I say this with some humility. What does that mean, some humility? That means you're not entirely humility. No, I am. Oh, those on Facebook can see my face going, he's not too sure. I say this with humility. Hey, welcome, Maria. It is better to do the action than mention the noun, because even if at one point you no longer see someone or you no longer have to talk about it to anyone, if you're still doing it, then it doesn't matter. You don't give a label to yourself. You're actually doing it. You see the difference? So I could stop doing a podcast and talk about how I did a podcast, but that'll always be in the past. So I have to continually do a podcast. And I don't identify myself as I don't even know if that term exists, a podcaster. I'm a podcaster. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do in life? Oh, I am a podcaster. And I pod and I cast. I kind of do the both things. I podcast. I am a podcaster. That's right. I do that sometimes. I pod and then I cast. I podcast. I am a podcaster. Yes, I am. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, we brought back the Hindu accent. That's right. He wasn't around last week, but he's back now because he's podcasting. Thank you very much. So I say I have a podcast. I do have a but I do have a podcast. It's not like you're not going to see me on YouTube do it. So I am telling the truth. I do have a podcast. Right, Melissa? Is she still there? Melissa, are you still there? Or are you going, man, this guy, I can't believe this guy. I really can't believe this guy. But I do have a podcast. Yay. All right, she's still there. Always good to know. You could play me in the background, right? You don't have to be watching me. You could be like doing stuff in the background and yeah. So I do the podcast and I podcast, but I'm not a podcaster. No, you're not I am the podcaster because I pod and I cast. I am the podcaster. You can do the podcast, but I am the podcaster. All right. We'll let you be the podcast and I'll do all right. So that's it. By doing the action, you're sure to, first of all, you're naturally going to continuously do whatever it is that you love doing, and on those days where you don't feel like doing it, instead of attaching your ego to the concept of perhaps you are this or you are that, you will actually throw out the line. You will cast out the line. Oh, did you see the wordplay on that? You will cast out the line to that feeling of, hey, why do I do this? Because I love it. And that's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Doing the podcast because you love doing it. Hey, quickly, Melissa, can you tell me, am I in the entire screen? Because right now I'm looking, I got some of the lines there, and I don't know if it's screwing up my thing there. I'm like a little concerned, but at the same time, not that concerned, because I guess I could always figure some way to edit it out, but because I don't normally have those lines, and I don't want to click nowhere, and then I lose the image, and like, whoa, what happened there? And like, I don't know, he just started clicking somewhere, and then the image. Okay, all right, so we'll know for next time. And so now, Adam, tutti, you are all here. Yeah, I'm all here. Woo woo, boo boo boo, doo 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 boo boo doo boo. Hey, welcome, Bliss. Welcome, Mary. Oh, that's awesome. This must be like chow time somewhere. People are joining in. Welcome to Serenity Winz. I must, for the benefit of my podcast or the podcast, say that we are not associated, affiliated, or sponsored by any official organization or movement. This is all about my journey as a recovering alcoholic. I don't speak English. You're funny. Tu es très drôle. So let me just look at the recording button here and see. Oh, we're at like 30 minutes. Oh, really? We're at 30 minutes. I guess we can go up to subject number 2. For those of you who kind of listened on, oh, we're up to 41 eyeballs. That's really cool. How do you have any questions? Like I can't answer your questions on YouTube, although eventually maybe I could have a link and figure out how to do that. I'm learning so much on my own. It's like it's insane. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta learn how to put on a link there on a YouTube, and then I gotta put another link there, and then on Instagram, and then and I'm like, whoa. That's why I'm looking forward to finding my producer. Yes. Using the title, producer. I need someone to produce the show. I am putting together a live tour event. So I do want to put this podcast on a tour. And so I'm looking for probably, organizations that could see the message behind this podcast, about a recovering alcoholic. So it probably helps out a lot of alcoholics out there. Mostly the English-speaking ones, because the French ones are like, hey, qu'est-ce qu'il vient dire, là? Tabarnak, je comprends pas, moi, Serenity, mais that's it. I speak Serenity, that's it, nothing else. So when I'm in the when I'm in the meeting and I try to share with some folks, I do a podcast. I'm not a podcaster. They look at me and go, oh, cool, I'll listen to it. Actually, they say that in French. Ah, c'est cool, ça, je vais l'écouter. And I say, it's in English. Je comprends pas un mot. I don't understand a word of English. I'm like, okay, next kind of thing. But hey, you know what? One person at a time. So let's get to subject number 2, because I think subject number 2, oh yeah, it's a great subject. I mean, I could talk about this subject from personal experience and, from people's personal share moments. Let's do like another power graphics. And now it's time for... Hey, welcome back from a commercial. From a commercial. No, we didn't go to a commercial yet. Okay, well, I'm practicing. I'm visualizing. I'm seeing hey, we're back from that commercial. Yeah. We're back from our official sponsor. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about subject number 2, the power of gratitude. I love this one. I really do. Melissa, if you're still there, do you love the power of gratitude? She's typing. I can only imagine. But I have to say something for those of you on YouTube going, what's going on? Of course. Oh, awesome. She says, of course. Is a six la chance? La chance. That sounds French. I'm going to go with another French person watching the live on TikTok. Yeah, welcome, Isa la chance. Merci. Oh, Michel Paltry. That's also another French name. Hey, I got French people listening to me on live on TikTok. That's pretty cool. So, without getting too typity, I made that word up. It's a great word, typity. I don't want you to get too typity. This is why I've downloaded an application to help me get smarter. Great. So without getting too typity, explain to me why you are such a fan of gratitude. And of course, I will share my view, but I'd like to know from another person. And without getting too typity, right? Hey, welcome, Divine Girl. Goodbye, Divine Girl. It's like they pop up and then they're like, oh, nope. You have sunglasses. Nope. Not going to stay there. Stalling a bit while Melissa does the not too typity explanation of why she loves the power of gratitude. Welcome, Sikkim Z. I couldn't pronounce that. No, not too typity, but maybe she's typing a lot or she's not at all typing. Dodeless, say hi. All right. So if I click on this and I say hi, what happens? Wave at the viewer. All right. Here we go. We wave at the viewer. All right. So maybe Melissa is not typity at all. Yeah. Yeah. You, of course, you, Melissa. I was asking you to type the reason of why you love the power of gratitude. Did you not get that in my discourse? All right, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds because, my fans on YouTube are like, yeah, but she's not typing, man. Yeah, she is. I have faith. I have faith that she is typing something, anything, something to not make me look like an idiot. Oh, you can do that all on your own, man. You don't need anyone to make you look like an idiot. You can do that all on your own. Gosh, Dolly G, you got that gift there. You don't need others to make you look like an idiot. You do that on your own very well. Thank you for the compliment. All right. So let's say Melissa said something. Clearly she didn't. I love the power of gratitude because it seems to have that exponential effect. Ooh, you're talking like a smarter guy now. Yeah, and it wasn't even in the application, actually. I haven't used that word yet in the application. But yeah, exponential, meaning you do it once, and then it starts to happen even more. So even when you're thankful for the little things, bigger things seem to happen. And I think, and I use the word think, but perhaps the better term would be my hypothesis, right? Because I'm far from having the truth. I want to make that clear also on this podcast. You're not going to get a born again kind of, could this be a don? I just want to say, I don't have the truth. Okay, I have the truth, the entire truth, but All right, so I'm not Donald. I don't have the truth. I have hypothesis. So it goes simply that when we are in a certain state of emotion, mind, and all, we vibrate at a frequency, and that connects to something that's way outside of us or way inside of us. Because, like this human format, it's nice, it's fun, yet I'm not completely convinced about it. I think we vibrate at a frequency and we see ourselves as quote unquote humans. Part of me also believes, I was going to use the word understand, but that's quite pretentious. So I'll stay away from that. I'll use the word, I believe that we are natural light beings and we create our entire world. Oh, she finally typed something. Chaque jour devient plus riche lorsqu'on prend le temps de remercier. So I'll translate that for you, Anglophones. She wrote, each day becomes richer when we take the time to be grateful. Wow. Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm using more words, though, because I'm doing the podcast. Oh, but you're not the podcaster. That is my position. Yes, of course. I know you are the podcaster. Okay. So, said the multiple personality individual. Okay. I just touched my face now. Oh, no, he's feeling uncomfortable. All right. So, exactly. And that's exactly, and it's for me, it's more than it gets richer. It just seems to multiply. Like I have more and more things to be grateful for, right? So I wake up in the morning, as an example, and I'm already happy just to be alive. Like literally. Like again, as we're light beings and we're creating, what am I? Who am I? What is all this about? Well, as when I wake up and I take my first breath, I'm already thankful for that. Like I'm already, bam, woo, yeah, JD, we made it. All right, yeah. And then when I got out of bed, and I did my stretching, my proper stretching before, and my back is like in great shape. I'm like, whoa, yeah, that's like number 2 right there. Bang. In less than like, 3 minutes, I already have like 2 things that I'm, whoa, yeah. And then the rest of the day follows. But then suddenly, little things start popping up. Like I'll be at the convenience store, and I'll be buying, like picking up, not my coffee anymore because I've given up coffee, but I'll be, picking up my lunch or whatever, and then the cashier will say, "Oh, by the way, there's an extra donut here, and would you like it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take that." And that that definitely wasn't part of my vision of things happening, but yet it happens. And then there's all little things like that. But then after that, there's like bigger things. And suddenly you get a call from someone saying, "Hey, I saw something you did. I'm really interested. Can you?" And I'm like, "Oh, really? Oh, yeah, that's totally cool." And so, and also it's a muscle. That's also what I love about gratitude. It's a muscle. So the more we're grateful, the more good things happen, and the more we become aware of it, and therefore the more we are thankful for the stuff that we are. It's like a circle. It continues a circle. And it goes the other way around, though, because the moment you start being, I guess the word is, see, this is where the Elevate software would really kick in now. But I'm trying to say the opposite of gratitude. What is the opposite of gratitude? That was almost like Christopher Walken. What is the opposite of gratitude? Right? Is it not having a watch? Because it's all about having the watch. You have the watch, you have the time, you have the gratitude. You don't have the watch, you have the opposite. You're struggling. You're looking for something. You're looking for time. You can't find time. Where is that time? Because you lost the gratitude. Yay! I kind of flew off there on that. Woo! Okay, he's like Christopher Walken. No, but I'm going to work on it. I still haven't watched any videos on how to impersonate him, and I'm practicing more and more. Does it show? Is the microphone? Is this thing on? Is this thing on? Hello, is this thing on? I gotta do the face thing though. I gotta work like my face is Donald Trump. Is this thing on? But then I got him confused also with another character. A few years ago, I did a puppet show, and I had this character. It was a Christmas show, and I had this character. It's just like this raggedy kind of puppet. And I had so much fun doing him. So then when Donald Trump came into power, I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's just the God, the greatest of the greatest." That's what I'm going to say. All right. So gratitude. So I'm very grateful to be doing this podcast. I'm extremely grateful that people are listening to me on YouTube. I actually saw that my subscription numbers are they're going up. Like it was like at 4, and then I look back, I'm at 8, and then I look back, I'm at 10. So it's like, whoa, all right. Much gratitude for that. And it is, I believe, one of those resonating kind of bouncing effects with the quantum universe and whatever you want to describe it as. But there is that feeling that the more we are grateful, the more we receive. And it's important to make that nuance, la nuance. Ooh, there's a fancy word. You can't pronounce it in English, but you can say it in French. La nuance, right? You're not being grateful in order to receive stuff. Because if you're being grateful to receive stuff, you've missed the plank. You've missed the whole concept. Oh, she's going to sleep. All right, Melissa, you sleep well. Thanks for dropping by. I really appreciate that. Gratitude for your presence. Have some sweet dreams. Oh, sorry. Bye-bye, Melissa. I almost fell asleep there. No, I didn't almost fall asleep, but did it sound on like on YouTube? All right. So here we are back again with my voice in the microphone. Ooh la 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 la. This goes out to all the ladies listening to me. Ooh la 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 la. I wish I could. I wish I could walk around like outside in the real world and walk around with a microphone. Hey, looking fine, my dear lady. Someone said to me recently, right? Can I say her name? I don't know if I want to say her name because she might actually become the producer of the show. But she goes, of course she was joking, but still there's always a little truth behind. She goes, yeah, you're a misogynist podcast. I'm like, what, misogynist? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, you probably took from one of the bits of the trailer that I put together, and it's probably completely way out of context because of, I love all humans. That's a fact. So I don't think that misogynist is a term that's applicable to me. Do I defend men? Absolutely. Am I going to manspade or whatever? Manspread? Am I going to start crossing my legs? Absolutely not. You're kidding me, right? Am I going to start peeing sitting down? Because a lot of people say now, oh, it's a good thing to do when you pee. No, I'm going to piss all over the bowl. I'll be like, hey, look at me. I can write my name in my bathroom. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying, yes, I stand up for men because there has been a shift. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you want to admit it, but there has been a shift. And so I think we need more men. And there are. I mean, I see them obviously on social media every now and then. I'll stand up. I'll stand up as a man. I'll be proud to be a man. Don't give me none of that toxic masculinity stuff. That's like way out the window. Don't give me that you got to get in touch with your feelings. Look, I know when it's time to get in touch with my feelings. You don't have to tell me. The point I'm saying is by standing up for being a man, it is in no way whatsoever saying that I dislike, that I hate, of course, that's like way off the, you see how my voice, way off, that's way off. That's like, woo, that's like, I love women. I love the way they look. I love the way they smell. I love the way when their skin kind of caresses you. It's like, whoa, yeah, giddy up. All right. This is not a family show, by the way. This is 18 years old and over. At least I had those settings. I don't know if they're still on, but that was the concept. So yeah, Andrea, perhaps possible future producerette, as I like to say, right? And of course, that's a joke too. Obviously, producerette, she's a producer. But I guess what I'm saying is by poking fun at the situation, you diffuse it entirely. And so I'm far from being a misogynist. Have I ever met? I might, yeah, you know what? I may have met once or twice. They don't usually stay very long in my life, like individuals, because it's not because they're misogynist. Like individuals who are filled of hatred or bitterness of any sort, and maybe they have their own things to deal with, right? That's one of the things we learn to deal with as alcoholics, which, by the way, that individual that I'm thinking about is an alcoholic. The point being, I'm certainly far from being a misogynist. I love women. I love what they have to offer. I love what they contribute. I have a challenge though with how right now, by wanting to raise womanhood, the feminist quote unquote, they've instead of raising themselves by themselves, they're actually trying to lower and bash men. That's where I say I draw the line and I go, whoa there. We stop that right now. And so maybe sometimes some people who are not fully aware could take that, but it's not at all being misogynist. It is actually standing up for all humankind, because it is important that we stand up for all humankind, not just the women or the men. I don't want to get political, but a few years ago, there was things where certain lives mattered most than others. Of course not. All lives, they matter. It's like sometimes you hear people talking about like this issue is more important than another. No, they're all important. The only difference is maybe this issue has more people behind it backing it up and putting more dollars on the screen to get you to think about that, to get you distracted while they go around and they do other stuff and you're not even aware of it. And the stuff they're doing behind your back is way worse, you know? I did not write. That's a lot. I read because I was interested a little bit in history and I wanted to see for myself because I had heard something from, I don't know, was it a video or a podcaster? I don't know. So I ended up reading the Treaty of the Château de Versailles. Château de Versailles, what is that? For those of you who may not know, it was the treaty, and I want to make sure I'm not, you know what? I'm going to pop out my extra Google because I've learned how to do that last week. I realized that I can go on my Google and you guys still get to see me. But now I can actually go and get some information. And I'm not getting information to tell you. I just want to confirm what I'm saying. Château de Versailles. I want to give you the right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I was right. You were right. You didn't say anything. Okay. I took the time to read the Château de Versailles Treaty. Now, some of you are wondering, why would you do that? Because I guess I had time on my own. And within this treaty, they literally talk about slavery. They literally talk about women and children trade. Like it's literally in the Château de Versailles Treaty. So this was the treaty that at the end of World War I, where the Germans lost, and they lost quite a bit. And some historians say that it was kind of rigged to get the Germans to get pissed off again because they knew that would set up, whether it's true or not. But if you think about it, they were really pissed off. So when you read the treaty, I mean, this was a document, and this was back in this was back in 1919, right? In the hall mirrors at the Château de Versailles. And so it officially ended World War I. And so when you read it in detail and you find out that they actually have clauses for, trafficking humans, trafficking women and children, you kind of go, well, hold on a second. What kind of world do we live in? And then when you have people now that are actually explaining what's going on, everyone's shocked by, Jeffrey Epstein and what was going on there. Why are people shocked? Why are people shocked? There's a reality there. Now, does it have to be? No, certainly it's probably going to be hard to change overnight. But if enough people, and it's not just about becoming aware, it's about becoming aware of what you are resonating out there, right? The more attention you put to it, the more you kind of resonate that and it multiplies. Well, you're saying, yeah, but you're talking about that now. I'm talking about that now to make the point that when you call someone a conspiracy theorist, you should take time first and find that information that he's talking about and see for yourself, right? Because when you read it in official documents, official legal documents, it's there. So, and I myself was not into theories. I mean, when I hear something, I go and I research it. What I've learned with time, and I'm talking about this because on the weekend I met someone, and I had seen her a few years ago when, that whole fake, whatever you want to call it, pandemic or whatever word you choose. In French, I use faux semi, right? The falsemy. And back then, I was really active. So I mean, I would like put tape on my truck and like put messages and everything. And when I saw her this weekend, I said, "Well, I realize now that there's probably better ways to pass a message." And I guess probably my podcast is going to be certain one of the ways. But what I realize is just because you're yelling it, it doesn't mean that people are going to absorb it and understand it. So I've learned with time to just be aware of how I communicate. And I look forward to improving my communication skills because obviously I am a podcaster. That's right. I podcast and I am a podcaster. No, I was kidding, of course. I'm not a podcaster. I just do a podcast. But my friend Apu, oh, thank you very much. I did very good. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I'm just laughing. I can have a show or part of a show where it's me and Apu. Because obviously the people on TikTok are like, well, that's not funny. But the people on YouTube, especially if you're on your way to Toronto and you're driving, you get, like, this is me talking. Hey, Apu, how are you doing today? Oh, it's I'm filled with gratitude very much because what you say, the power of potentiality. It really, I feel the Vishna inside of me. And okay, hold on, calm down there, Apu. I just want to know how you're doing. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. So I could do that. Oh, I'm getting another flash too. I could do like just like a collage of all the times that I laugh in my show. Oh, man, I love doing my podcast. All right. So I kind of lost track there, but we were talking about the power of gratitude. Yeah. And then Apu came along. And then you know what? I really lost the power of my thought, but that's all right. I was talking about the power of gratitude somewhere there. Oh, wait a minute. No, I was talking about the Treaty of Versailles. How did I get it to the Treaty of Versailles? Oh, wait a minute. I remember now. It's like dominoes, like click. You were talking about the power of gratitude, click. And then you said that someone said you were a quote unquote misogynist, click. And then you said you were defending men, click. And then after that, you talked about click, click, click. All right. Okay. So I'll get back to the power of gratitude for those of you who are actually listening for that. I want to close with the idea that if it's in the Treaty of Versailles, the Chateau de Versailles Treaty, it means it's a reality there. So, and don't think that just because we're in 2026 that they've changed the rules. They haven't. They hire more lawyers and they keep it under wraps, whatever. But it's all there. And I mean, look, Epstein, the whole island thing. You ask me, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Have you heard of the Jekyll Island? Where they first came up with a concept of creating, was it the I don't know if it was the Federal Reserve. Yes, that's it. The Jekyll Island. That's where they came up with the concept of creating the Federal Reserve, which, by the way, it's a private company. Like even your town, your city, it's a private company. It's always an incorporation. You say you live in, say, Saint Jérôme or you live in Saint Adèle. That's a company. So whenever there's a bill going on, they talk about the city is this and the city is that. It's just a company. It's a big-ass company. They're all big-ass companies. Your country, by the way, is a big-ass company. The United States is a big-ass, Washington, D.C., don't even get me started on that. So the point is, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And we, as humans, right, we have the power to transform. But for that, we have to resonate and vibrate at a frequency that is much higher, right? And whenever we get into debaseful actions, whether it's consuming alcohol, whether it's watching porn, whatever it is, but anything that debases, God intended us to be great individuals. And so when we do stuff that lowers our vibration, so if you're constantly spending your time, for instance, not listening to a podcast, because that's always good, especially if it's Serenity Winz, but if you're spending your time on Facebook watching what others are doing, you're lowering your vibration, you're lowering your frequency. So go out there and do great stuff and raise it. And we'll find a way. We will find a way because I do believe that humanity does have the potential. And AI can go both ways. If I'm being frank. No, you're not frank. You're Phoenix. Hey, welcome, Stéphanie Moret. I've been like really not paying attention to some of the names going there. AI is a very powerful tool, and it can make you smarter, or it could just distract the hell out of you. See, I'm using less of the F words now because I want this. I'm not sure it can become a family show, but let's say I'm doing a live tour event. You can bring your kids. Oh, you can bring your kids. It's all right. I won't swear. Or if I swear, I'll have my producer who thinks I'm some misogynist, and she'll be like, beep. Can't say that. Beep. Can't say that. Beep. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you producing me if you think I'm a misogynist? It's not a good thing. All right. My imaginary producer, of course. So that's what I'm talking about. We have to vibrate at a frequency. And yes, AI is a wonderful tool. It can make you smarter, but it can also distract the hell out of people. And I think we're going to start seeing that more and more with virtual realities, like people, especially gamers. And this show is about my journey as a recovering alcoholic. But if you have any kind of addiction, this show is for you, right? If gaming, there's serious gaming out there. There's some serious people that spend a lot of time and money gambling. Gambling is another one of those. Pornography, social media, spending. I mean, now you can buy stuff 24 hours a day. People buy stuff, and I hear this every now and then in the partage. I got to learn how to say partage in English. You know what? I'm going to do that on the Google right now. But yeah, some people actually say that, they exchange one addiction for another. So you got to be aware that you got to be aware of all of that. And AI, share is not the right word. My plan is really to get to an English meeting sometime soon, and find out more of those English terms over my podcast. Maybe even talk to people and say, hey, I am a podcaster. Would you like to watch my podcast? Could you imagine I'm going to a meeting and the people don't even know me, and I'm wearing my sunglasses, and they go, hi, my name is John. I go, oh, thank you. My name is Daboo-doo-doo. No, I wouldn't do that. So that's what I want to finish with on as far as the gratitude point, is that we need to be thankful for many of the things that we have. And sometimes I realize, I see, especially if you're starting off the program, if you're even struggling just to have one day, right? We talk about 24 hours at a time. If you're struggling for that one day, you're like, what am I thankful for? I'll tell you what, if you go through that day and you don't have a glass of alcohol, right there, that's something to be thankful. A day without alcohol. A day without porn. A day without sugar. Some people are addicted to sugar because it is they say sugar is even more addictive than cocaine. Quit. La cocaine. Yes, cocaine. So if you went through a day and you didn't consume alcohol, you didn't take any drugs, you're grateful right there. That's already one day at a time. That's what we talk about. One day at a time. That's something to already be super thankful for. And then you'll find little things. Maybe that day was really sunny and you didn't feel like working in the rain, so be thankful for the sun. Or maybe that day it rained and you've been working on top of a roof with the sun beaming on you, baking you like a bacon, and then because it rained, you know what? You didn't go and work on the roof. You worked inside the house instead. Be thankful for that. There's always something. There's always something to be thankful for. You just have to open your eyes and see it for yourself. Yes. Hey, we already got 1 hour down, and we talked about 2 subjects, when technically speaking, we should have had like 4 subjects. Hey, someone's a little slow out there. All right. You know what? Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe that means, maybe I'm grateful for that. Maybe I'm grateful that, I put down 8 subjects, thinking, okay, I'm going to go 50 minutes per subject. But in the end, I just shoot my mouth. It's like I don't see any more people popping on TikTok. People are like, that's it, man. This guy's on his monologue. He's like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Is there anyone out there? Oh, I see one. I see one person still there watching. Actually, no. I see 63 eyeballs and one person. But then I don't know if it's because my internet is slow and therefore it doesn't register the actual people that are watching me live. It just it doesn't matter. As I'm putting together my media kit, they ask me, well, how many people are watching you? So I could say that right now on TikTok, I have about 1,400 people following me. What? You got 1,400 people following you? Whoa. Yeah, hold on there, Kimosabi. It's, maybe it's a technical thing. I don't know. But because at one point I was really, really into like just going, they call them growing rooms, where you just kind of go in a room and you just kind of like, and then the person likes you and follows you and everything. So I did that at first because about a year ago, you had to have like 1,000 people to do a live. Now I think they took that away. So, and then at one point I stopped because I said, you know what? I want it to be more organic. I want when I do a live that the people that show up are actually people who are interested in the subject matter. So I stopped doing that whole clickety click, 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 get a whole bunch of followers following me. Maybe I should continue that. I don't know. I don't think my goal is about getting followers on TikTok. I think my goal is about doing a podcast, doing a great show that entertains, that maybe gives out some information, and most importantly, that helps. If someone out there is listening to the podcast and saying, you know what, maybe I do have a drinking problem, or maybe I could use a 12 steps, or maybe I should find out where the next meeting is, then that's great. Then just that is amazing. And that's why I want to tour this, because I think that's one way to reach out to the public, because less and less people are going to start noticing signs at the grocery market, and not everyone goes to a police station or a hospital clinic and sees the sign, Obviously, if there's an alcoholic and they're in an accident, they'll see that. But we want to reach out people before they get into accidents, before they take their, before they get into that state. So this podcast, social media, to a certain extent, that's the next step. Okay, let's get into step number 3, right? Because we did so we're all in agreement. Well, at least I am, and those of you listening to me, we agree. Gratitude is very powerful because it multiplies the more we do it. And it's also important to understand that we do it because we feel it in our heart. Because if you begin doing gratitude just because you think you're going to get more, you're probably going to get the opposite effect. Because that's also how the universe works. It knows when we're vibrating and when we're faking it. Hey, that could be, you know what? I'm going to take my little pen here, right here, that you get to see. I'm going to jot down for episode 7 there. That's going to be a subject matter. Vibrating versus faking. I know what that sounds like. I know what that I know what you're thinking there. That sounds a lot like a very sexual thing. Vibrating versus faking. Yeah, but we're talking about the universe. The universe. I'm going to add that just to make sure that I don't get distracted. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about the vibrating, the universe. All right. Okay. So subject number 3. Let me just flip back that page. Bam. Step number 6. I forgot my book. Hold on a second. Give me I wish I could put the car there in the front of the screen. Okay, so there's a car there, but you know what? No, I don't want to move the camera, because if I move the camera, then you got to figure out all that stuff. And okay, give me 2 seconds. I'll be singing there. I gotta go and get a book there. Oh, we now go to a commercial break because our producer has forgotten to take the book with him. This episode is brought to you by. Actually, we're not brought by anyone. We're not brought by anyone. Hold on a second. All right, I'm back. I didn't have to go that far. Let me put the headset back on. I didn't have to go that far. I didn't go that far. I just want you to know. I want you to know. No, he's got to. I want you to know. 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 I didn't go that far. You know what I'm saying? I could have gone very far, but I didn't go that far. I just went a little far, you know? Because if I go very far, you're not going to see me for a long time. So you want to make sure, man, you get it. You want to make sure that I don't go very far. If I go get a book, I go get an ice cream. I go get something. I go get my toys. I go get my toys. But I don't go very Woo! Lee, you got to tell me when you listen to this, like, what's going through your mind? Because I don't even know what's going through my mind. All right. You know what? I'm going to share a little something with you guys. When I was younger, when I was a kid, um, my parents were separated or they were divorced or whatever you want to call it. And so I lived with my mother and I was alone, right? As I was like, I wasn't a unique child because there's two other brothers and a sister, but they were living with the father. And I had a really wild imagination. And I used to like play by myself. Like literally, I'd be like doing whole entire scenarios and like adventures, and I'd watch some TV shows, and I'd be like reenacting the TV show. And I guess that stayed with me because clearly that what I just did now, I could honestly, I could, I could have continued. Like I don't see the time go by. Like when I get into these characters, I just and maybe it's one of the reasons why I also love doing the podcast because it allows the child, he says, put out, because that's like the Sean Connery voice. They pull out a knife, you pull out a gun. They put one of yours in the hospital, you put one of them in the morgue. That's how you do it. That's the Sean Connery. All right. Should I bring Sean Connery to the? We got Donald Trump. We have Christopher Watkins. And we got Sean Connery. He was a great actor, by the way. I thought he was really cool. I thought he was one of the coolest James Bonds. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so enough about cool James Bonds and actors. The idea is that I my imagination, I think, is well used, especially when I do a podcast, right? And so that's one of the reasons. Okay, I'm looking right now. I have a book. I have two books. And aha, I'm looking at the books because I'm trying to. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm complicating things right now. Oh, you're running. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Well, if you're watching the YouTube, you probably saw me kind of leaning outside the screen. That's because I wanted to lower my sunglasses to see what the hell I'm doing. And if you're just listening, well, that's what I was doing. I was kind of leaning outside of the screen. Um, yeah, I don't even know why I didn't think about this to begin with. I'll just type in the 12-step program. 12 steps and 12 traditions. Here we go. Bada bing, bada boom. All righty. Oh no. I think I just closed the I just closed the chat because I was clicking on the next and then I realized, okay. Um, oh, but it just popped up again. Okay, so if you can't see the live chat window after popping it out, try switching the game to window mode. All right, so what if I do this? Boop. There we go. Okay. All right. So, hey, you're getting distracted there. I know I am. Okay, 12 steps. PDF. There, it should be there. It should be there. It should be there. Okay, here we go. 12 step, 12th edition. Oh, is it the entire book? I don't want the entire book. I just want the gist of it. I just want the gist of it. Oh, wait a minute. That's the entire book. See, that's how great, by the way, the movement is. Not that I'm associated with it, but like I just typed in 12 steps and 12 traditions, and I have for free the PDF version. So I think that's really cool. Okay, but I'm not finding what I want. Okay, give me again. My apologies. I'm still in the process of hiring a producer. So you know, we're just going to do the 12 step. 12 step. Oh, sacrement. T'es pas capable d'écrire là. Mais là, si je suis capable d'écrire là, mais là. Alcoholics Anonymous. All right. All of this just because I want to make sure that okay. All right. What are the 12 steps? Okay, I'm really stalling right now because I'm not getting the thing that I want, which is really just the list of it. Oh, wait a minute. That's the traditions. 12 steps. Okay, here we go. The following are the 12 steps as published in 2001. Oh, okay, good. All right. So 12 numbers. Here we go. We're in business now. So step number 6, right, which is what I said we were going to look at. Which is what I said we were going to look at. Yeah, step number 6. Am I still on the screen there? Yes, I'm still on the screen. Okay. Am I still on YouTube? Yeah, you're still. Okay, we're back on the business. All right, here we go. All right, so I'm just quickly going to read this. So step number 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Whoa. In French, nous étions tout à fait prêts à ce que Dieu élimine tous ses défauts. Right? Because very quickly in step number 4 and 5, we kind of realized what was going on in our life. We did a personal inventory, and then we shared it with ourselves, with God, and an actual other human being. So in number 6, we are now ready to ask for our higher power, which, by the way, in English sounds, to me, it resonates more. In French, we say une puissance supérieure, but they didn't translate it from the English. In English, it's not the superior power, it's the higher power. It doesn't mean that it's stronger, it just means that it's a higher level. And I much prefer that version than in French, which says notre puissance supérieure. So it's saying there's something that's stronger than us. So it's like, versus in English where it says it's not necessarily stronger, it's just at a higher level. Now, obviously, if it's a higher level, maybe it's stronger, but it's a different plane. Maybe it's something we don't see, but it's there. And maybe that higher level is also part of us, right? So I guess in French, they can also say that too. La puissance supérieure is also within me. But so step number 6, it's a very important point because I think in life, if we take this one, if we forget to do it, we're missing literally a factor that works in our brain. And that's the effect of being ready for change. Because if we're not ready for change, change is going to happen very, 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 did I say very? Very slowly. It may not even happen because you're not even ready for it. How can you be ready for transformation if you're not even ready for it? So in step number 6, we are saying that we are entirely ready for our higher power, whatever you want to call it. You want to call it love. Again, The whole show here that I do is not about the labels. It's not about the religion. This show is for all religion. You can be Muslim, you could be Christian, you could be Jewish, you could be whatever. You could be a Buddhist. It doesn't matter. I don't care about that. Just like the 12 steps doesn't care about that. Well, hey, well, look at me. I don't care about that neither. You know? And I clearly don't want to, I've been called a misogynist, right? So I don't want to be called like, oh, you desecrate my religion. No, I don't desecrate nothing. I'm just saying whatever word or term or label that works for you. And hey, if you don't even have a label, that's even better, because you know what? I've always said, when we try to put a word on it or define it or put it in a little box, we've already lost kind of that essence of what it really is. And this, by the way, is actually a quote that I heard from an author. She passed away a few years ago. Christine Singer. She was a French author, I do believe. And in an interview, which I had a chance to see, she literally talks about that. She says because someone was asking her about spirituality, and she said, the mistake that most people do is that whenever you try to define the experience of whatever you connect with your higher power, your higher source, you're losing the essence. This is all something personal. No one can explain it. Some people, last week I talked about a fellow member who was watching the sunset from a mountaintop, and that to him was his version of what, his higher power is. And I have my version of it. And it's not about labels. It's not about chains or crosses. It's not about signs that I put on my body. It's not about even me talking about it. I share about it now because obviously I am the podcaster. Oh, what? What? I didn't say I was a podcaster. I said I am the podcaster. Okay, that's very important to know. I simply do a podcast. And I share a view, because obviously it has to be entertaining. There has to be some form of information that you guys get. But on a regular, I shouldn't say but, as such, on a regular, I want you to be honest, as such, yeah, but malgré tout, all right. I do feel something, and I cannot define it. And if I would attempt to use a word to define it, I would already dilute the connection about it. And so this goes for everyone and everything, and all those that I reach out to through this podcast. So you can be of any religious faith. You're all welcome. Everyone's welcome. This podcast is for everyone. And I say this with humility. It's for everyone. Because you may know someone who's struggling. You may know someone who has problems. You may know someone who spends their time distracting themselves because they don't want to face who they are, because they've been told a story, or they told themselves a story based on probably childhood or young experiences. That's who they are. And it's far from who they are, because we're really, like I said, it's light. There's light being. And for me, the 12 Steps program, you'll hear me say this every time. It's a soul purifying method. This is how I define, not the energy, not the higher power, not the God, the 12 steps. Soul purifying program. Method, if you prefer. Which brings me right away to, I am not in any way associated, sponsored, or affiliated with any official movement. It's important that I say this and I repeat it. Maybe eventually I have a little super logo just at the bottom of the screen saying, I am not at all associated. But then people will see the logo and go, well, why is the logo there? He says he's not, but there's a logo. So maybe I won't do that. Okay. I'll see what my producer says. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about step number 6. We have to be aware that transformation is going to happen, and we have to give it the permission for it to happen, right? I sense that has to do with that whole connection and vibration frequency thing. If you're aware of it, you're already in that state of mind where you're ready to accept it. You're ready to go, okay, you know what? I am ready. I understand this. And I'm gonna like literally like if you could see me, I'm like literally zipping bzzz, and opening my guts and I'm gonna put them right there on my laptop. Well, maybe not on my laptop, but I'm gonna share something very, very personal, but it's to bring in that point that I am making. I realized for myself personally recently that poverty, it's a state of mind. And I know I'm going to be shocking a lot of people with this concept. And I'm not talking about others. I'm talking about myself. I'm using this as my example. It may be applicable to others, but right now I am sharing it about me. And the reason why I say poverty is a character defect, it's because it's not about the money that you don't have. It's about where your state of mind is. What is my mind doing right now? Am I accepting the idea that I am unable to create, to manifest? Or am I busy? Am I actively finding ways to manifest and create? And so I'm not saying I have things that need, that you need. Obviously, I separated last year, and so I recently got a refrigerator, and now I have my apartment. But you know, I want more, and I don't want more just for myself. I want more to say to myself, "Yeah, I'm good." And it's not that it's going to make me a better person, because there's already light there. It's simply that it's going to say to me, "Okay, you're leveling up. You heard the story when you were younger, and now you've let it go, and now you're ready, and now we can begin the transformation." And so for me, the concept of a lazy mind, you know, and laziness doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing nothing, because I don't think in my life I was ever in the idea that I was doing nothing. I was just I lacked application. I lacked the execution. Execution. Voyons, c'est pas capable de dire. L'exécution. I wasn't doing it properly. And now I'm ready to transform that and change that. And that's, for instance, why I'm not swearing anymore in my podcast. Because if you listen to the first one, woo, man, there was a lot of swearing in that one. Maybe that's why I didn't load it. You know what? I said the other day that I couldn't, obviously I know where it is, but I didn't have it at the time when I was loading the other two podcasts or whatever, the first three. And maybe unconsciously, I said, you know what? I can't put number one because there's way too much cursing in there. Because I had seen a few TikTok people and they were like cursing, and it seemed to be like the thing to do. They're like, curse this and curse that. And like, oh, you're going to be. And in the end, I'm like, I don't need to curse. I have a mind. And so that's why I'm also using softwares like Shout Out to Elevate. I don't know if they're like, we don't care what you talk about, but I'll now let you know how it works. And if you want to download it for yourself and get smarter, if that's something you want. And if you don't want to get smarter, that's all right too. There's no right or wrong. It's the idea that what do you feel for yourself? So for myself, I want to use more words. Yeah. Like reprieve. Yeah, I learned that today. I mean, I know what it means, but it's not a matter of knowing words. It's a matter of being able to use them. And this I can say because I remember his name very well. I watched a video from Jeffrey Fisher. If you get a chance to follow him, I believe he's on most of the platforms. And he was talking about the power of language and communication. And he was spot on. And, the words you use affect how people react towards you. And I had this conversation quite a bit with my ex when at the time she was my girlfriend. And I was, and I would hear her daughter speak and her speak. And I was like, but do you understand that words that are coming out are affecting literally how you think and also how others perceive you? And she couldn't understand that. And so maybe maybe that's why we're not together, or one of the reasons. In any case, I understand. Excuse me. Oh, you know what? That'll be my drinking water time. Oh yeah. Hey, this show is brought to you by a clean glass of water. That's right. When you get thirsty and it's hot, don't go for a beer. Go for a glass of water. Cheers to that. William. Hey, man. How's it going? Uh, First of all, it's not that girl. No, we broke up. For those of you listening on YouTube, this guy, when I was doing my podcast, when it was like even last year or so, he would pop in. He seemed like a fairly kind person. And so he's asking now, you still with that girl? No, we separated about 6 months ago. Has it been 6 months already? Yeah, it's been 6 months. All right. So, William, I don't know if you know, but I'm doing a live podcast right now. So I'm going to go back to my audience right there. Oh, you don't. He said, "Sorry to hear." No, it was a mutual thing, and it was it was just evolution, transformation. We're talking right now about step number 6, and maybe part of that was like step number 6. Not that there was a default of character there, but I know that I wasn't well, so I had asked to be to transform. So we're talking about step number 6 is basically understanding that we have a flaw and being ready for it to go away. Because sometimes, I say this, people attach themselves to a certain label that they've gotten through time. And they're not ready to let that go. Because what happens when they let that go? What happens when you let go of that label that you've been associated with for so long? Like for me, for instance, I talk about one of my character flaws is, my current financial situation. I poverty sounds like a strong word, but at the same time, maybe to some people I am. Maybe to a billionaire, I'm like not even. It's like, but maybe even to middle class, and like but. But before, if I was attached to that, or if I was like okay with it, then why would I want to transform that? I'm okay with it. I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But now that I'm realizing I want to transform that, it's not that I'm bad with that now. It's simply that I realize, okay, I'm ready for the level up, the next step. And the next step is, first of all, understanding that the laziness of the mind creates the poverty of the wallet. Let's put it that way. The laziness of the mind creates the poverty of the wallet. Whatever it is you do in life, if you run a business, if you're working somewhere, if you feel you don't have enough, then somewhere along the line, there's a laziness of your mind. Now, it could be the laziness of the mind that you're spending way too much for what you're making. It could be the laziness of the mind that you don't know what else to do. It could be the laziness of the mind that you're not taking the time to really figure out how to be more efficient. But somewhere there's a laziness in your thinking, in your ways of being. So, and I've come to understand that, and I shared this, and I guess it's okay that I share it with you guys on my podcast, because I actually shared it with my sponsor. Well, my sponsor in French was mon parrain, right? It's important because in English they use the term sponsor. You got to find yourself a sponsor. So a sponsor is a person who's also in the movement and who probably went through it way before you, and who helps you along the way. And it's like a coach. It's like a personal coach, but he's not a coach. I would never call my sponsor a coach, because he's just a wonderful human being. And we get along, and sometimes we just sit and we just talk. We're not even like going through the book as they say you're supposed to, but I guess we both know that the book is just the book. So I shared it with him. I said to him this week, I said, you know what? I think that the laziness of my mind created this financial state that I was in, and it's time that I let it go. It's time that I let that story. And it's probably a story that I was told by my father, who said to me, well, if you do this, and he was basically just saying, if you go and live with your mother, and I wonder if on an unconscious level, when parents tell us stuff, we have this tendency, despite that they can be terribly wrong, the love that we have internally for our parents, we don't want to disappoint them, so we give them what they and but that's like twisted, because even though we know, how many times and we hear this, well, if you don't this and that and that, and we're like, yeah, but then we end up doing that. So was it because they're really smart, or was it because they implanted this suggestion inside of us? And although it's been like several decades now, and about maybe 10 years now that my father passed away, I hadn't done that step where I was ready. I remember talking about this mind laziness a few years ago. And I think that when I first started doing Bhakti yoga, that was kind of the beginning of that. But I not being aware of step number 6, or not fully understanding it. No, I don't think I had joined. No, I only joined the movement back in January. Yeah. So I wasn't ready. Like, I was aware that something was off, but I wasn't ready. And now what I'm saying is that I'm aware and I'm ready for my higher power to take that flaw, that character defect away, to take it out, to like say, okay, your mind from now on is going to be like, like, what's the opposite of lazy? Like, productive, powerful, prolific. It's a hard word to say. Prolific. See, I'm trying to learn new words now. I know what the words mean. I'm just like prolific. Hey, how's it going? I see you're being very prolific. Correct. Yeah, I know. I didn't see Rick. I'm always curious to see what people are thinking about when they're just listening to the podcast. Say they're driving or they're gardening, and it's like, because I figured at least if you're watching it, you get some gestures, you get to see kind of part of my anatomy and go, oh, but if you're just listening, if you're just prolific. And of course, what am I trying to say? That means that you have multiple streams of income. You're prolific or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to start starting smarter. That's why I'm doing these applications there that they're going to make me think more. Whatever, And I think that's another thing too, and I believe that it's going to be in the next episode. Yeah, because I didn't write it on this one, so it's going to be the next one. My goodness, I see the time goes by. It's like, what time is it? Whoa, the time, it goes by so fast. Okay, so step number 6, let's recap that. It's about being aware. First of all, you have to be aware of the things that aren't going well inside of you. If you realize, for instance, you're a selfish person, you have to be aware of that. And then you ask for some outside help to remove that, that flaw from you, because it is a flaw. I don't think, maybe if it's survival, whatever. But, you're the character defect. Let's call it that. And that's how they call it, right? In English, the character defect. I like that. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Oh, it's not character defects. It's defects of character. Man, that's even more powerful. I don't have character defects. I have defects of character. Yeah, I think it's even better like that. So that's step number 6. So you don't have to be part of the movement. You don't have to like go to a meeting. You just take time. If you've done, like we talked about in the first few shows, your personal inventory, and see what, how you were forged and created in terms of your mental thinking and your beliefs, your self-esteem. That's really important too. And then if you really go deep down inside and you find out, okay, well, I might have this tendency. This might be one of my flaws. And it's all right to say whatever it is that you discover, because that's how we get better. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no, this podcast, there's no right or wrong answer. It's simply about exploring and finding out more about yourself. And If you're in the program and you're doing the 12 steps, then mazel tov, you're applying. And so now we're talking about step number 6. And if you're just listening to this podcast, excuse me, and you have no idea what the 12 steps program is, but you hear me talk about the 6th step, then that's okay too. You can apply. There's some members, they join and they don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12. Some people go from 1, then they'll jump to like 9, then they'll go back, because to each their own. So if you're not even in a program and you hear about, okay, step number 6, we are now ready to ask for our higher power, our individuals, love if you want, to remove the defects of character, right? And just the idea that you're asking means, number 1, you are aware that is now holding you back. You are aware that it's a defect. And number 2, you are now ready to have it disappear and not and disappear, to have it disappear, to leave, to no longer act in such a manner. And that's very important. So I guess next week, which is podcast number 7. Hold on a second. I'm just getting a flash here. Episode number 7 next week. So guess what? We're going to do step number 7 in our 7th episode. Yes. That sounds like, you know what? I'm going to write that down right now. Oh, no, he hit the microphone again. And I want to write it now, just not that I think I'm going to forget about it, because obviously now I'm doing like all these applications and playing with these app games, and they're all like games. They're games to make you smarter. But inadvertently, oh, that's a nice word to say. Inadvertently, I don't even know if it's properly said here, but inadvertently, I will still write step number 7 for the 7th episode. All right. Well, time is flying by, my friends. Time is flying by, my friends. Like, I was just there. Oh, wait a minute. I was just there, and here I am. Okay, so did we cover? I think we covered pretty much step number 6, right? Excuse me. I don't know what I got to do. Yeah. 77 viewers so far. Wow, that's pretty cool. Because I'm like also tallying, okay, how many viewers do I get per episode live on TikTok? And so, yeah, step number 6. You're ready. You simply ask that you're ready for the change. You're aware of it. Okay. So let's talk about, which is probably going to be our last point. And yep. Our last point of this episode, of course. And it's, it kind of relates to number 6, but in a different way. In a different way it relates to. And that is, and I've come to understand the importance of this particular, is it a task? It's not a step like as such in the 12 steps, but it's a process. I've come to understand the importance of the process. And it is simply this. It takes time. What? What do you mean? It takes time. Now, if you're on YouTube and you're watching, you can see my head going up and down. But if you're just listening, you can't see that, but that's what I'm doing. It takes time. What I mean by that is it takes time to accommodate your thoughts. And more specifically, when we decide that we want to transform, when we decide that we want to go and do our workout, or when we decide we want to do the podcast, or when we decide, I'm trying to think of an example that's more related to ladies, but no, obviously I'm not a woman and I'm a man and I'm proud to be a man, but I want the show to be more out there also for women. It's for everybody, right? It's for, maybe I'll talk like this. That'll be my way of connecting with other women. That's what that. Of course, probably is doing the complete opposite. Like, how dare he make fun of our high-pitched tone voices? I'm not making fun. I'm just trying to relate to you women. And because I love you girls. I love all of you women. I love you. I want the show to be for everyone. All right. So it takes time. The process of it takes time. What I mean by that is when you decide there's something that needs to be done or you're about to do it, you might think that you're procrastinating or you might think that you're not doing it right away. But what's really going on is that your mind, your brain, is actually processing all this information in the back of your head. It's in the background. It's on the back burner, as the expression goes. And at one point, you'll get up and you'll go and do it. So the reason why that is because most likely there's a synapse. We talked a little about that last week. Your synapses are beginning to connect all together towards that specific goal or that idea or that concept. And it doesn't happen overnight. So you have to reinforce it. So each time you think about it, you're slowly reinforcing that concept, and therefore it's getting to click. And if it's not click, it's actually gluing together your synapses. And the more synapses, and then after that you get like a cluster, and then you're like, and then the thought. So at one point, once you've taken that time, because even though you're not doing it, you're thinking about it, right? You're thinking, oh, I probably should diminish how much sugar I'm eating because I'm eating way too much sugar. This week is a perfect example for me. I ate a lot of sugar this week, and I felt it. And literally, like I had 2-3 events back to back, and there was sugar and there's sweets. And to tell you the truth, even this week, like not this week coming, but last week, like even when I got out of bed and it was, like I woke up in my usually 5 o'clock in the morning, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay in bed. And all that concept of discipline and doing stuff. It's not that it flew out the window. I gave myself permission that it was all right to do nothing, right? Because I enjoy doing stuff. And sometimes it's also important to say, you know what? By not doing anything, it's all right too. And so last week was my I ain't doing nothing kind of week. And I felt it. I felt it because, first of all, I really didn't eat as well as I normally do. And I didn't exercise. Now, obviously, when I'm working with my client, shout out to crusoe.ca, by the way. If you want to get some really nice furniture, go to crusoe.ca. As I'm working with my client, obviously there's a bit of physical stuff in there. So obviously I'm still staying in shape. But in the morning, instead of doing my Tai Chi routine, and my client also postponed, so we didn't do his training. So it was one of those weeks where I wasn't as effective as I normally am. And I said, that's all right. I'm good with that, in the sense that, you know what? I have nothing to prove to nobody. I have nothing to prove to myself or anyone or people listening to the podcast. It's all right if today I do nothing. And it seemed that just giving myself that permission just made it like, And now I'm really looking forward to going and doing those things because I didn't do them all week. So I'm really looking forward to it. So the concept of, if you decide that you want to do something, try something. Again, I avoid the word. If you want to begin doing something, I dislike the word try because it's a weak word. When you begin to do something, understand that there's a mental process that takes place. So even if you're not if you decide for some reason that you want to jump out of an airplane, in tandem parachute with some guy strapped to you or a girl, it could be, I'm not saying it could be a really girl, but you're not going yet to that airport, that's normal. Okay, maybe you may even decide not to do the airport thing. But let's say you decide you want to cut down on your sweets. And before it happens, you've eaten a few chocolate bars but that's all right. Because at one point, when all your synapses when you've understood the importance and the power and mostly the why, it's the why. While we are not doing stuff, there's kind of this why answer that's going in the back of our mind. Why do I want to do this? Why am I what's the point? Why? Because the how is just technical stuff. Eventually you figure out how. What's more important in life is knowing the why. Why am I doing this? Why do I want to do this? So during this time where you're not physically doing the thing you want to do, your mind is doing a lot. And by not snapping yourself on the fingers for not doing it right away, you're giving yourself that permission. And I'll give you a very good example, which I wanted to bring back last time, but we didn't talk about the subject. I have a speed bag. Is that a good sound effect? No, it's a... That's really not a speed bag. Okay, but so when I moved in here, I wasn't sure if I had the place permanent, whatever. Finally, the guy said, "Yeah, okay, is it?" But then I have to install this thing, and so the installing took a long time, and it's still not fully installed because I still need my client to help me, the client that I train, to help me, put it up. But it took me about 3 weeks to just decide to, go and get the wood because I have to drill, the 2x4s into the 2x4s behind the gyp rock because obviously there's a contraption there and it's big and it's heavy. But while I was not doing it, I was thinking about it. And I was thinking about it while I wasn't even thinking about it because the first thing that was preoccupying me is, how am I going to install this thing? But I didn't spend my days kind of staring and looking at the wall and going, how? I just went about my day. I went about my day. I did my stuff. I didn't even think about it that much, but it was just always in the back of my mind. And finally, when we decided, okay, this Saturday we're going to get together and install whatever. So he came, and then while he was there, like, we just found the studs, and then right away I had this flash. I said, you know what, you can take off. I'm good now. And I mean, I didn't even need him to help me find the studs. For some reason, it was just kind of that collaboration together and then he took off, and then I thought I was going to do that day, and I didn't. But the following day on Sunday, last Sunday. Yeah, well, that's it. I was going to talk about it last Sunday's podcast. But so last Sunday, I did everything on my own. I went, I chopped the wood. I had to custom made because I have some planks at the bottom. So I had to make sure. The point is, I spent about maybe 2 hours, an hour and a half, putting the entire rig together and drilling it to the wall. Once I was ready, once my mind was ready for that action. And while it took time, because it literally took maybe 3 or 4 weeks for it to actually materialize, I was thinking about it without thinking about it, but I wasn't ready to do it. Just the idea, my tools were, I wasn't ready. Once I was ready, it took me an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was done. Boom, done. And that's what I'm talking about. So sometimes we procrastinate because that time that we're procrastinating is that time where our synapses are actually getting ready to do the action. There's also a saying, right? There's also, because that's Pareto's Law's theory, where we do 80% of the work in 20% of the time. Now, is this true? I don't know. What I can say is that when we do decide to stop procrastinating, we are much more productive. So I think it has to do with our synapses have had a chance to attach themselves properly to create that the environment of that thought, the mind thinking, if you will, to allow us to accomplish the task ahead. And that's pretty much why I say. And actually, if you are on TikTok, you'll see there's some good videos. I did a video about that about a year ago or so, 2 years ago. It takes time. And it's not only that it takes time, it's also important to acknowledge. It's also important to acknowledge that that time is necessary. You can't force things. If there's one thing that I'm learning more and more throughout the 12 steps in the movement is that, let go, let God. That's one of the expressions we hear very often. Let go, let God. Like get out of the way. Get out of the way. Whatever has to happen is going to happen. And just, enjoy the ride. So when you have a vision, sure, you could plan things and go, but, just let the universe kind of ride you along. And that idea that you're not doing something right away because your mind is actually working in the background is making it more efficient. Because let's take my example of that speed bag. I could have perhaps forced myself, let's say 2 weeks earlier to do it. But I know one thing for sure. I don't know how well it would have turned out. Probably, I imagine. But I know that while I would be doing it, it wouldn't have been as fun. It wouldn't have been as fun because 2 weeks ago, because my brain hasn't had the chance to put all the synapses together towards that task, I would have been like forcing myself. Literally, I'd be like, oh, okay, I got to do that, and it'd be like, but because I took the time to allow the area to be plowed and the weeds to be taken out, if you want, metaphorically speaking, inside my brain. And so now there's time for that space to take place and the mind to function well. Well, then when I was doing it, I was in a state of mind of gratitude. Hey, that's another way to tie back to gratitude. Yeah, man. I was full of gratitude for that. And I was, because you know what? I'm saying this and I'm realizing, yeah, I got to play with my tools. I got to bring out tools that I hadn't seen in a long time. Because clearly, when I was in the other house there with the ex, we had there was a little workshop downstairs in the basement. So every now and then I go and I chop some wood, whatever. But since I moved out, obviously I didn't have any place to do anything. All my tools were like there and spread all over the place. And now they're all, So I got to take out. I got this great Japanese saw, and I said, "What's a Japanese saw?" Japanese saw. It's a saw. Well, yeah, it's called the Japanese saw. Okay. More precisely, it's a saw that carpenters use when they want to finely chop wood pieces. Like if you want to create a dovetail, you'll most likely use, for some parts of it, a Japanese saw. I don't know why I'm going back and forth with my hand in front of the camera. That's kind of weird, but there's a saw, right? And no, I'm not going to go and get this. I could. You know what? For you, next week. Hey, tune in next week when I show you what a Japanese saw looks like. That's right. Here on the Serenity Winz show, you get interactive. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. Should I write it down? Yeah, write it down because you never know. Okay, no. Yeah, you know what? I will. I will write it down because you never know. Show. All right, we're gonna write this down. Step number 7, and then we'll be like, show Japanese saw. Right. And I guess it's called the Japanese saw because probably it's a very old tradition, and they're craftsmen. The stuff that they do is pretty incredible. So I got to do that, and then I got to, circular saw. I mean, it sounds like a corny thing to say, but it's like it's being a man. It's like, I gotta get tools and but that's what it was. So while I was doing it, I had a great time, and of course, every time I would cut a piece of wood, measure it, put it up there, and it was like I was congratulating myself. Hey, your mind's working well. I was producing. This is something that we've lost. We the whole kind of go out and hunt and bring back mammoth or like big bear or whatever. We've lost that concept. Now the idea of going out there is like getting in a car and driving half an hour and then getting back in the car, so but that sense of just contributing and so that's what I was getting out of that. That's what I was getting. And so I'm grateful for taking 4 weeks before I started putting the speed bag together. Had I done it 2 weeks earlier, it may have been in the same state at the end result, and it may not. But the present moment of doing it, I'm about 95, I could probably say higher, but if I didn't do it, it's because I wasn't ready. Like my mind just wasn't ready. And at one point I did force myself to do, okay, maybe I should, because my client's waiting, but I was like, no. And I know, of course, my client wasn't neither in a rush because he had injured himself in a softball game. So he was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna. So it all worked out well, and that's one example. But I'm sure in your life you could probably take time and see where you were supposed to or you want to do something and you didn't do it right away, but eventually you did it. Whether it was learning a new trade, whether it was taking up a salsa class, whether it was a cooking class, whatever it was, reading a book, whatever it is, sometimes it just takes time, but that time is very important because it's part of the process. So, where are we at now? Whoa, we've already done our 2 hours of worth recording. So you know what? I want to finish because we kind of started last week on episode 5, and I want to continue with it. I want to continue with it. So I want to finish this show with the quote of the day. Quote of the day. Oh, yeah, I think I read it and went like, oh, that makes no sense. Yeah, it makes no sense on the quote of the day. Yeah. Maybe you'll get it. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm talking about it, maybe I think I'm getting it now. Okay, so this is the quote. So this is June 21st. And this was in Florida in because I have a blue light, so it's hard to kind of read through it. Oh, no. Okay. All right, can you finish? It's been 2 hours now. I've been listening to you now. I got to go and do off, man. Okay. I think I'm actually starting to understand the quote now because I got a flash now. My name is Helen. Florida. June 1977. I have begun to trust my friends enough to lean on them. Let's read that a second time. My name is Helen. Florida, June 1977. I have begun to trust my friends enough to lean on them. I think I finally get it, although I didn't get it this morning when I read it. I think we're talking about that. There's a Helen lady, and I'm trying to remember her name. I'm not getting her name right now. I was going to say the generous, but clearly it's not the generous. Uh, she's the famous. I shouldn't say famous. Well, yeah, I guess she's famous. She's the Helen who is Helen Keller. I think that's who I'm talking about. No, it can't be her because obviously the quote. Oh, maybe the quote was said then, but yeah, maybe. Helen Keller, 1818, 1968, was a groundbreaking American author, disability rights advocate, and political activist. Yeah, that's exactly that. After losing her sight and hearing, she overcame incredible odds to become the first deaf person in the United States. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking maybe she began to lean on. So basically, she began to ask for help, right? Um, because or else I really don't get that quote. But hey, you know what? My role is not about understanding and explaining quotes. It's just about reading them, which is what I just did. I just read to you the quote from the book. I did have another book too, The Daily Reflections, but you know what? It's getting late. It's getting late, man. I know you folks got to go and do stuff and go to Toronto or go to Ottawa, driving down the highway, or maybe stopping and eating some crackers, listening to maybe some ice cream. Are you? Yeah, leave in your comments. Are you listening to podcasts while you're outside gardening? Are you driving on your way somewhere? Are you at a funeral? I don't know. Maybe you're like, oh, this funeral really. I don't want to say that I'm asking for people to pass away. I'm just saying. I'm just asking. Are you at work? Are you able to put headsets at work and just while you're typing or listening to the meeting, the quarterly reports, and you're like, oh, this is so boring. I'm just going to put on the podcast. So leave in your comments if you get a chance where you're listening. And hey, feel free to share and like if you've heard this on Facebook. We're on Instagram, Facebook. Obviously, we're doing also the TikTok. TikTok, hello to all my TikTok people who've just been listening to me talking for about 2 hours and going, well, he's not giving any comments. Well, maybe. But I got like 77 people who watch me, so that's pretty good. And of course, on YouTube, the more people, if you like it, share it, right? The more shares, it makes a difference. So on that note, if you're going to do it well, do it with respect, and most importantly, do it with love. Thanks for watching. I am your host, Phoenix. And again, one last time, I'm in no way associated, affiliated, or sponsored in any form whatsoever by any organizations such as Alcoholics Anonymous and or the likes. I am doing this podcast through my own volition. Oh, volition, that's a really fancy word. You know what it means? Yes. Tune in next week, and I'll tell you what it means, but you probably already know what it means. All kidding aside, I'm having a great time. I really enjoy doing this podcast. Thanks. If it makes a difference, if you know someone who's suffering, ask them to listen to the podcast. Or better yet, bring them to a meeting. There's a meeting guide. There's a software. You just Google it, find out where the next meeting AA is in your area, and you might literally save a person's life by sharing this podcast. And you never know. So on that note, I want to wish you all a fantastic week. Thanks. I love you all, and we'll see each other. Cheers.